Y7.
Greetings and welcome to Kain Y7. Hope y'all are good. I'm going to do my thing. Just less than 15 minutes ago, I just heard that in New York, the Trump administration is freezing the funds, over $8 billion in funds due to this this government shutdown that we are in the middle of right now. I'm going to go ahead and show the latest on that because it is basically a slap in the face because of the Democrats not coming to an agreement on behalf of the Republicans. So this is what we're faced with right now.
The U.S. government shut down much of its operations on Wednesday as deep partisan divisions prevented Congress and the White House from reaching a funding deal. That sets off what could be a long, grueling standoff that could lead to the loss of thousands of federal jobs. The 15th government shutdown since 1981 commenced hours after the Senate rejected a short-term spending measure that would have kept government operations afloat through November 21st. Democrats opposed the legislation due to Republicans' refusal to attach an extension of health benefits for millions of Americans that are due to expire at the end of the year. Republicans say the issue must be addressed separately. There was no clear path out of the impasse, which agencies warned would halt the release of a closely watched September employment report, slow air travel, suspend scientific research, and withhold pay from U.S. troops. It will also lead to the furlough of 750,000 federal workers at a daily cost of $400 million. Democrats are under pressure from their frustrated supporters to score a rare victory ahead of the 2026 midterm elections that will determine control of Congress for the final 2 years of Trump's term. The healthcare push has given them a chance to unite behind an issue that resonates with voters. Along with the extended health subsidies, Democrats have also sought to ensure that Trump will not be able to undo those changes.
All right. So this was just now. So Trump administration freezes 18 billion for New York, home of top Democrats. So this is political move. 8 billion in green energy projects in Democratic states also frozen. But also Trump doesn't really believe in global warming. He is on the opposite end of like greenery and preserving things and how much the environment affects outer space and affects the earth and things like that. Vance took some questions today. I have the full thing on that too. So the shutdown will be affecting 750,000 federal workers, some working without pay. Senate again fails to pass stopgap measure. This hasn't happened in 7 years, not a complete shutdown.
Poking some fun at the absurdity of the Democrats themselves.
The president's been posting some images of Leader Jeffries and Senator Schumer.
I saw
recently. You've said that you're interested in good faith negotiations with these leaders, but what message does that send? Is it helpful to post pictures of Leader Jeffries in a sombrero if you're trying to have good faith talks with him?
Oh, I think it's funny. The president's joking, and we're having a good time. You can negotiate in good faith while also poking a little bit of fun at some of the absurdities of the Democrats' positions, and even poking some fun at the absurdity of the Democrats themselves. I mean, I'll tell Hakeem Jeffries right now, I make this solemn promise to you that if you help us reopen the government, the sombrero memes will stop. And I've talked to the President of the United States about that.
I don't know, we'll probably have a shutdown.
Ahead of the U.S.'s
What they have done instead is to shut down the government because we won't give billions of dollars to healthcare funding for illegal aliens. That is what has actually happened. To the American people who are watching, the reason your government is shut down at this but let me just say a few things, and then I'll take a few questions. Number one, Democrats say that they care a lot about lowering healthcare costs, and yet, when the president took historic action to work with the drug companies to lower prescription drug prices, the Democrats did nothing to help us. In fact, we would have loved to have the Democrats helping us, but they didn't. They talk about doing something. They don't actually do the hard work of making it happen. What they have done instead is to shut down the government because we won't give billions of dollars to healthcare funding for illegal aliens. That is what has actually happened. To the American people who are watching, the reason your government is shut down at this very minute is because, despite the fact that the overwhelming majority of congressional Republicans and even a few moderate Democrats supported opening the government, the Chuck Schumer AOC wing of the Democratic Party shut down the government because they said to us, we will open the government, but only if you give billions of dollars of funding for health care for illegal aliens. That's a ridiculous proposition. Let me say two other quick things, and then again, I'll take some questions. Number one, we all understand that Democrats and Republicans have policy disagreements. The Democrats want to do things. Look, when Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries were in here a couple of days ago, they made some suggestions that the president was more than happy to say, yes, let's sit down and talk about how we can solve the health care crisis that we inherited from the Biden administration. But it's one thing to say that we should solve the health care crisis for Americans. It's another thing to say that we're going to shut down the government unless we give the Democrats every single thing that they want, which, as Caroline says, includes giving billions of dollars of taxpayer funding for health care for illegal migrants. That's ridiculous. You don't have policy disagreements that serve as the basis for a government shutdown. Let's have the conversation about how to fix American health care, about how to make health care more accessible. As the president showed, he's more than willing to act on behalf of the American people for this very reason. What you don't do is say, unless you do exactly what we want to do as congressional Democrats, we're taking a hostage. And the hostage, it turns out, is critical, essential services that the American people need. Caroline talked about some of it. Let me talk about some more. Our troops are not getting paid starting today because of the Chuck Schumer wing of the Democratic Party. We have people who require food assistance, low-income Americans who require food assistance, who will not get it unless we reopen the government, thanks to Chuck Schumer and his wing of the Democratic Party. We have flood insurance as we start hurricane season in the southeastern part of our country. That flood insurance is going to disappear because of Chuck Schumer and the far left of the Democratic Party. We need to reopen the government. Let's fix America's problems. Let's work together to solve them. But let's reopen the government before we have our negotiation about health care policy. That's what the American people demand, and that's certainly what the President of the United States wants. Let me make one final point. I think a lot of Americans are asking themselves, why did this happen? Why did the Democrats shut down the government despite, as Caroline said, voting on the exact same piece of legislation 6 months ago? And there are a lot of different spins that we can put on it, a lot of different answers that we could give, all of them true. One answer I already gave is that they want to give health care benefits to illegal aliens. That is true. They gave us legislative text that would have undone us cutting off health care benefits for illegal aliens. That's one of the things that they asked for. But the reality here, and let's be honest about the politics, is that Chuck Schumer is terrified she's going to get a primary challenge from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The reason why the American people's government is shut down is because Chuck Schumer is listening to the far left radicals in his own party because he's terrified of a primary challenge. So I'd invite Chuck Schumer to join the moderate Democrats and 52 Senate Republicans, do the right thing, open up the people's government, and then let's fix health care policy for the American people. Questions?
Mr. Vice President.
That's a lot. Matt Boyle.
Okay. Mr. Vice President, there's two key Democrat lies I would like to get your take on and see if you can address. The first is that you're seeing a number of top Democrat leaders, from Kamala Harris to Chuck Schumer to Hakeem Jeffries, claim that it is a Republican shutdown caused by Trump. The second is that they're out there now claiming that they don't want to give health care to illegal aliens. Can you address both of those lies from the Democrat Party?
Yeah, so on the point that it's a Republican shutdown, look, it's obviously a Democratic shutdown. Just look at the vote totals in the House, look at the vote totals in the Senate, and look at the President of the United States' own action and conduct throughout this crisis. Nearly every single House Republican voted to open the government, Matt. nearly every single Senate Republican voted to open the government last night, and even to their credit, a few moderate Democrats voted to open the government. That's not a Republican shutdown when nearly every single Senate Democrat votes to shut it down and every Republican voted to open it up. It's just obviously not true. Now, you can disagree about a number of things, but you can't disagree about the obvious fact that Republicans voted to open the government. The president stands ready to sign that opening of the government. We just need a few more Democrats to join us in that effort to open the government. Your final question about illegal alien benefits. Look, the text is very clear, and I even saw, I think it was George Stephanopoulos in an interview with Mike Johnson, did a fact check that was totally rooted in baseless claims. It was basically Democrat propaganda. If you look at the legislative text that they gave us, they tried to turn on two separate provisions that would give health care benefits to illegal aliens. Number one, if you're an American citizen, you've been to a hospital in the last few years, you probably noticed that wait times are especially large, and very often somebody who's there in the emergency room waiting is an illegal alien, very often a person who can't even speak English. Why do those people get health care benefits at hospitals paid for by American citizens? The answer is a decision made by the Biden administration that the Trump administration, working with congressional Republicans, undid. We turned off that money spigot to health care funding for illegal aliens. The Democrats, in their legislative text, want to turn it back on. That's one thing. The second thing, Matt, is we all know that there are various ways in which the Biden administration waved away illegal immigration status. They gave parolees, they gave asylum claims to people who weren't really claiming asylum. And when they waved the magic wand of amnesty, giving millions of people legal status, even though they were in the country illegally, they also gave those people access to health care benefits. So what the Democrats are engaging in is a sleight of hand. They're saying, no, no, no. Those weren't illegal aliens who were getting health care benefits, even though everybody, knows they were in the country illegally. It's a lie told by the Democrats that they're not trying to give health care benefits to illegal aliens. It's a lie that is obviously untrue if you just look at the text that they gave us. And all you have to do is understand that this is about who benefits. We think the American people's government ought to benefit American citizens. The Democrats are willing to shut it down to benefit illegal aliens. The contrast couldn't be more clear. Peter.
Thank you, Vice President Vance. The big holdup is, of course, that you guys say illegal immigrants are getting taxpayer-funded health care. Democrats say you're lying. That makes it feel like it could be a really long shutdown. Is this going to be a long shutdown?
You know, I don't know. I can't predict what congressional Democrats are going to do, Peter, but I actually don't think it's going to be that long of a shutdown. This is a pure guess from the Vice President of the United States because I think you already saw some evidence that moderate Democrats are cracking a little bit. They understand the fundamental illogic of this. Look, for years, every single one of us, we can remember Barack Obama on the White House lawn. We can remember Chuck Schumer. We can remember, Nancy Pelosi for years. In Chuck Schumer's case, for literally decades, we've heard them say, you don't shut the government down over a policy disagreement. Okay, Republicans think this thing about health care, that thing about health care. Democrats think this thing about immigration. Republicans disagree. Whatever those disagreements are, you don't shut down the government over it. For the first time since the Democrats have been in politics, they're now saying that unless we get every policy item that we demand, we're going to shut down the people's government. They're trying to take a hostage, and we're not going to let them.
And the administration announced today that $18 billion bound for New York transportation projects is going to be frozen so it can't go to DEI programs there. But the timing of this, does announcing that today mean that you guys are going to squeeze Chuck Schumer's home state until he blinks?
Look, I haven't talked to Russ about this morning, but look, I'm sure that Russ is heartbroken about the fact that he's unable to give certain things to certain constituencies. We want to do everything that we can to help the American people, but when the Democrats shut down the government, we have to actually do a little triage to make sure the most critical and most essential services are provided. The government does a lot of things. Of course, Republicans think that the federal government probably does too much, but there are a lot of critical things the federal government does that absolutely all of us would agree need to do. Our troops need to get paid. Our air traffic controllers need to make sure that people are flying safely and on time. We need low-income people to be able to access the food services that are provided by the federal government. There are critical things that need to be saved. We're going to do everything that we can over the coming weeks, if the shutdown lasts that long, to ensure that people get the essential services that they need, despite the fact that Chuck Schumer has shut down the federal government. It's not going to be perfect because we are in a government shutdown. We are going to have to lay some people off if the shutdown continues. We don't like that. We don't necessarily want to do it, but we're going to do what we have to keep the American people's essential services continuing to run.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, and thank you for being here. Yesterday, President Trump said, as a result of the shutdown, we'll be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, and the Democrats, they are going to be Democrats. Has the administration asked agencies to target federal workers who they believe to be Democrats in these reductions of forces?
We're not targeting federal agencies based on politics. We're targeting the people's government so that as much as possible of the essential services can continue to function. That is the question the president has asked the entire government, is fundamentally, okay, we're in a shutdown. That causes some problems. The troops aren't getting paid. There's nothing that we can do about that while the government is shut down. But there are essential services that we want to make sure as much as possible they still continue to function. That is the principle that's driving us forward during this shutdown. It's going to continue to be the principle that drives us forward. But let's be honest. If this thing drags on for another few days or, God forbid, another few weeks, we are going to have to lay people off. We're going to have to save money in some places so the essential services don't get turned off in other places. That is the reality of the government shutdown that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have foisted upon the administration.
So what did
Phil.
he mean by they're going to be Democrats? He said they're going to be Democrats.
You've laid out a lot of the pain and problems that would come with a Democratic shutdown, and yet in the Oval Office yesterday, the president said that a lot of good could come from a shutdown. So square that circle. Which is it, a Democratic-caused crisis or a Republican opportunity for reform?
Well, I think all the president is saying, Phil, is that he wants to make sure the American people's government functions as well as it can, despite the fact that we're in a shutdown. We're going to have to make things work. And that means that we're going to have to triage some certain things. That means certain people are going to have to get laid off. And we're going to try to make sure that the American people suffer as little as possible from this shutdown. That's what the president is saying, is that, yes, this is a bad thing. Obviously, the president is trying to reopen the government, but we're going to make things work as well as we possibly can, given the constraints that we have.
And then on those policy differences for the discussion and the negotiations to come later, during the Biden administration, Democrats twice voted to expand these Affordable Care Act tax credits. But those were supposed to be temporary, and they were slated to expire at the end of the year. As you sort of crack the door open to negotiation at a later date, would the party that ran on defunding Obamacare really negotiate about potentially expanding Obamacare?
Well, Phil, what we've said to the Democrats is that we're willing to have a conversation about how to ensure that Americans continue to have access to health care, and frankly, they should have access to better health care at a lower cost. We inherited a mess of a health care system from the Biden administration. It's why the president has worked so hard on the most favored nation status for prescription drugs. It's why we care so much about lowering the cost of prescriptions and why we're doing everything else. We're willing to have that conversation, but I think it's important to bracket the health care policy conversation because it's separate from the government shutdown. We think that we can open the government and then have the conversation about what best healthcare policy to fit the needs of the American people. That's all we're trying to do. That's all we're trying to accomplish. We've got to reopen the government first. Now, Caroline, I don't know how you do this, how you actually choose people, because I don't know 90% of the names in here. Is it just who's the best dressed? Okay, I really like your shirt. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. You are President of the Senate. Can you talk about what you're doing, what the administration is doing to try to get other Senate Democrats to vote to open the government?
Yeah, we're talking to a number of our colleagues, Democratic and Republican, in the Senate. I talked to a number of them last night. The president, of course, is talking to them as well. I think there really are two categories of demands that I've seen privately from congressional Democrats. I think on the one hand, those who are negotiating in good faith are saying, look, we just want to make sure that we're able to have a conversation with the administration about some of the critical needs that we see that need to get fixed over the next few months. We recognize it's kind of absurd, and a lot of them will admit in private that it's kind of absurd to shut down the people's government over these disagreements, but just agree to negotiate with us in good faith on these issues, and of course we're having that conversation with them. Then there's another category, people who say, give us everything we want or we're going to keep the government shut down. We just write those people off because they're not negotiating in good faith. And frankly, we don't need them. We've already got 3 more Democrats last night than I thought we would get. And I think it's because they recognize the illogic of the position of taking the entire American economy hostage because they don't get their policy priorities. So 3 moderate Democrats joined 52 Republicans last night. We need 5 more in order to reopen the government. And that's really where we're going to focus, is how to get those 5 additional Democrats.
Thanks, Mr. Vice President. First 2 questions. Are there plans to meet Democratic leaders again in the coming days, or are you planning on plucking off senators one by one?
So that's the whole question?
No, I got a second part.
Okay, go ahead and ask the second question.
So the president's been posting some images of Leader Jeffries and Senator Schumer.
I saw.
Recently. You've said that you're interested in good faith negotiations with these leaders, but what message does that send? Is it helpful to post pictures of Leader Jeffries in a sombrero if you're trying to have good faith talks with him?
Oh, I think it's funny. The president's joking, and we're having a good time. You can negotiate in good faith while also poking a little bit of fun at some of the absurdities of the Democrats' positions, and even, poking some fun at the absurdity of the Democrats themselves. I mean, I'll tell Hakeem Jeffries right now, I make this solemn promise to you that if you help us reopen the government, the sombrero memes will stop. And I've talked to the President of the United States about that. Now, to your first question, are we negotiating one-on-one? Are we negotiating in groups? Look, I will go to the U.S. Capitol right now and meet with Chuck Schumer or any Senate Democrat if it helps us reopen the government. Most of the conversations, in my experience at least, have been one-off. We're also, of course, relying on some of our Senate Republican colleagues who have good relationships across the aisle. We're going to do whatever we have to do is the answer. And I think it's tough to predict what shape this negotiation is going to take over the next few months. But I feel good about the fact that Democrats already realize privately the fundamental irrationality of their position. I hope that they're going to publicly acknowledge it and reopen the government. Right in the back, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. You responded to a post on X of Chuck Schumer on the House floor back in 1996, railing against illegal immigrants receiving taxpayer-funded benefits. You said Chuck Schumer once recognized that it was disastrous to give illegal aliens rewards for breaking the law. Now he wants to shut down the government unless we reward illegal aliens for breaking the law. Why has Chuck Schumer changed his stance?
That's a good question. Actually, it's a very tough question. Asking me to get in the head of Chuck Schumer is not a place I particularly want to be, but my basic read on it is that the entire Democratic Party, the political leadership, not every Democrat nationwide, but the political leadership of their party has got it into their heads that the only way to be compassionate is to be compassionate to illegal aliens rather than American citizens. If you go back to what Bill Clinton was saying, even Barack Obama in some cases, what he was saying about illegal immigration 10, 15, 20 years ago, you would put them on the MAGA right based purely on their rhetoric around illegal immigration. So I don't know why they've gone so far to the left. I think it's bad for the country. I think it's bad for them politically. But our principle, all I can do is speak for the president that I serve and the country, the administration that I serve right now. We believe that the American people's government exists for the American people. That means the people who have the legal right to be here, and that's why we're fighting to reopen the government. And unfortunately, the Democrats are fighting to shut it down for the benefit of illegal aliens. And I'll take a couple more, and then I'll let Caroline. I'll go back to my day job so Caroline can go back to hers. All right. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Just going back to the sombrero. You said that the president is joking, but Hakeem Jeffries says that these memes were racist. What's your response to that? And just if I may briefly go off topic, Secretary Hegseth yesterday made an edict about no more beardos in the military. Just wondered what.
Sorry, what did he say?
No more beardos.
Beards.
Oh, sorry, it's my accent. Just wondered your response to that.
I didn't see that particular comment. I thought Pete gave a hell of a speech, and a speech that really is just oriented around returning the American military to the very high standards that it has had for virtually its entire history until Joe Biden came along and decided to lower standards. I think it was bad for our military, and it was bad for our troops. When I was a young United States Marine, I did not have a beard. I am now the vice president, so I get to do what I want to do. But I think Pete's trying to re-implement high standards, and that's a very good thing. On the sombrero thing, I mean, Hakeem Jeffries said it was racist, and I know that he said that, and I honestly don't even know what that means. Like, is he a Mexican American that is offended by having a sombrero meme? I mean, I saw one of the major TV stations put the meme up and then say, this is AI generated. And he had like the curly animated mustache too. It's like, do you really not realize the American people recognize that he did not actually come to the White House wearing a sombrero and a black curly animation mustache? Like, give the country a little bit of credit. We're all trying to do a very important job for the American people. The President of the United States likes to have a little bit of fun when he's doing it, and I think that's okay. I'll take one more question.
Mr. Vice President, in every previous shutdown, workers have been furloughed, not laid off. So why does the president want to fire some workers and not just furlough them? Why is this shutdown any different?
Well, first of all, we haven't made any final decisions about what we're going to do with certain workers. What we're saying is that we might have to take extraordinary steps, especially the longer this goes on. We're going to have to take extraordinary measures to ensure the people's government operates, again, not perfectly, because it's not going to operate perfectly in the midst of a shutdown, but operate as well as it possibly can. And I think that the Democrats, if they're so worried about the effect this is having on the American people, and they should be, what they should do is reopen the government, not complain about how we respond to the fact that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have shut down the government in the first place. Thank you all.
Caroline. He's going to target some benefits, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you.
Should
See you
Americans
guys.
be prepared for their benefits to be cut as well?
All right, guys.
Welcome, one and all, to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. Ladies and gentlemen.
Something he's been very intent on.
Look, we have respect for the Supreme Court, but they're going to hear the actual case and make a determination on the legal argument in January, and we look forward to that because we maintain that she was fired well within the president's legal authority to do so. She was removed from the board, and we look forward to that case being fully played out at the Supreme Court. Reagan.
Caroline, I have one for you on E.J. Antoni and one on the shutdown.
Sure.
CNN reported that Collins and Murkowski declined to meet with E.J. Antoni, raising concerns that his nomination was in trouble. I'm wondering what message Collins and Murkowski are sending to the White House by not meeting with one of the president's nominees.
Well, look, E.J. Antoni remains a great ally of the president and our team. It became clear, unfortunately, that he was not going to have the votes, and so we will be announcing a replacement nominee very soon.
And on the shutdown.
Welcome to KNY 7. Thanks for the participation. I appreciate the respectful dialogue. If we could just kind of watch our language, but for the most part, you have been good. J.D. Vance spoke out on the shutdown. Of course, they're blaming the Democrats. The Democrats are blaming them. It's shut down. 750,000 federal jobs are empty, but they're saying that they have new employment. So, to be honest, this is a bit confusing to try to elaborate on. I popped onto basically because they shut down the government funding for all of New York State, New York City. What's going on right now has been an attack on Democratic states as retaliation for the lack of keeping things going. So with the government shutting down, so that's why we're experiencing seeing what we're seeing now. This is Hakeem Jeffries. This is all new news.
We're here in Washington, D.C.
Live, all breaking right now.
House Democratic leader, the whip, the chair of the caucus. We've been here all week. Republicans are missing in action, nowhere to be found, on vacation, scattered across the country and the world, spewing lies and
I'm going to continue one moment. There was over 1,200 people in here, and you all are 50-50. You're all divided. You're all either a Democrat or Republican for the most part. I know there's independent people that see both sides and try to see things down the middle and just want what's right. We're not with the cult thing. We're not with the group thing. We tend to be the quietest. I think it's time for more of us to start speaking out more because, to be honest, the Republicans, they're just not going to do it all. And the Democrats aren't going to do it all either. But everybody's fighting right now. It's ridiculous. And the whole world is watching us. But I want to know about these frozen funds in some of our states.
articulating the Democratic position, but they don't even have the guts to be on Capitol Hill and debate us face to face. They don't even have the guts to do that because they know there's no merit to the Republican position. And it's one of the reasons why, subsequent to that White House meeting, it's been radio silence from the Republicans.
Do you think this will go longer than the previous shutdown, though?
I think all of us, we're here, certainly Catherine and I, we're here for the shutdown that took place in 2013. It was a 14-day government shutdown until Republicans finally came to their senses that they did not have public support for the cruelty they were inflicting on the American people, and then engaged in an unconditional surrender. Donald Trump presided over a 35-day government shutdown. All of us were here at the time, just entering into Democratic leadership. And then finally, Republicans realized the insanity of their position, and after 35 days, the government was reopened, and they engaged in an unconditional surrender. At this particular time, what we're fighting for is to protect the health care of the American people, which has been under relentless assault. These aren't facts and figures. This is about real Americans who've already been hurt by the relentless Republican assault on their health care. And now they're asking Democrats to participate in doing more damage to the quality of life of everyday Americans. And we're not interested. Just like not a single Democrat voted for the one big ugly bill that enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, Democrats will not participate in the Republican effort to continue to gut the health care of the American people. Vice President Vance says he wants to have a conversation. We're ready to have a conversation with any high-level member of the Trump administration. They just have to be prepared to act in good faith. Not to talk about it, but to be about it. Which means canceling the cuts, lowering the costs, saving the health care of the American people. Let me let Pete Aguilar go.
The American people are focused on this. They support our efforts to protect their health care funding. While J.D. Vance continues to spew lies, while Republicans are scattered across the country, we're here. As the leader mentioned, we're here ready to negotiate, ready to discuss and debate how we get out of this shutdown. This is a Republican-led shutdown, all because they have an inability to deal with the healthcare crisis and the affordability crisis that.
Someone is typing in here. It's not me. I know sometimes I get to type in, I mute myself, so I don't know what that background, that's something going on where they at, along with the rest of the chaos, I guess.
Americans are going through. That's what this is about. And the American people are supportive of this, and it's a shame that they continue to use every lever they can to extract pain. But to your question, Nicole, infrastructure jobs being affected, thousands of people potentially laid off. I'm guessing a lot of those people might live in New Jersey too. A lot of those workers who could be laid off. And folks in New Jersey will have a choice in 30 days. Do they want someone running for governor who supports Donald Trump, who supports delaying these infrastructure projects, or do they not? Those are some choices that employees will have to make and that working families will have to make. And I trust that they're going to make the right decision. So.
So there you heard it from the Dems. We mostly just been hearing Republicans, but that was from the Democrats. So all this is going on in Chicago areas were just invaded. Well, we're just taken over by Homeland Security with ICE. They detained about 37 people out of all this chaos that's going on. So our country is just so broken. I'm reading the chat. I'm looking at you guys. You guys are just so divided. I don't even know where to start. I mean, I could, but I don't think you guys really want to unite, some of y'all. So that's what makes this country difficult. We're all good people, but we just can't see what we do agree on. It's like we're encouraged to just go against each other. It's pretty disgusting.
Dozens of federal agents wearing masks, carrying long guns, wearing helmets, swooped in and took off with about 36 people they say were in the U.S. illegally.
Look, they banging on the windows trying to get people to know it's humans. They transporting bodies in the middle of the night. This kidnapping.
That witness video was taken around 1 a.m. Tuesday morning. Footage shows people, including women carrying children, being led away by federal agents. We're told it was Border Patrol, the FBI, ATF, and more who joined forces to find members of the infamous Tren de Aragua gang. They were on the hunt for people accused of drug trafficking or who had outstanding weapons charges. A building resident took CBS News Chicago crews inside to show us holes in the wall that he says are a result of Tuesday's raid.
Like they had it planned out for weeks. It was like a movie. I got it on recording on my phone and everything. It was like a movie. It was really scary. They had my boyfriend locked up. Yeah.
He's a citizen?
He's a citizen. He's black. Yeah, he's a citizen.
All right, so right here, even the Pope is weighing in. You know, we don't hear too much about politics with Pope. I mean, they speak on things, but you know, anyway, Pope Leo criticizes inhumane treatment of the immigrants in the U.S. Now, this was just yesterday, September 30th. Quickly, Pope Leo said Tuesday he appeared to offer his strongest criticism yet of the United States President Donald Trump's hardline immigration politics, questioning whether they were in line with the Catholic Church's pro-life teachings. Interesting. Someone who says, I am against abortion, but I am in agreement with the inhumane treatment of immigrants in the United States. I don't know if that's pro-life. The pontiff told journalists outside his residence in Castel Gandolfo. All right. So that's what Pope Leo, that's how he feels about the situation, what's going on. That's pretty interesting too. I know I could speak for myself. I am against abortion. You know, do what you're going to do, but it's because of a lack of options. There's only two reasons people abort. They just don't want to, or there is something that horrific came on to them. Anything in between is just selfish. There's no reason to abort a child. It's always selfishness. That's what it's called. It's a choice, but it's selfishness. None of us are perfect either, but it's just the point. And yes, I am against immigration, especially illegal immigration. So I do see both ways on that. So I'm not really in favor of what Pope Leo was saying, I guess just as a reference. Let me go right here. Is this the one?
Gave us a 3 years grace period that we will not be subject to the 232 tariffs as long as, of course, we move the products here. That's one. The second overhang in our industry was this uncertainty. What will happen with the framework of pricing in the country? Because this uncertainty, it was what was holding people from investing in the pharmaceutical industry, which resulted in significant reduction of our multiples. Actually, our multiples are at historical low. Well, now we have clarity about what is the framework for the US pricing. Read the letter of President Trump, read the 4 points, and this is the framework. And we will abide to that, and going forward, this is how things will be priced in the US and abroad. We are ready to invest, as the President also mentioned, $70 billion in the next few years from Pfizer in manufacturing and research in America alone. I really think this is an historical moment because also I can put that behind us and focus on the things that I want to spend my time, cancer treatments, to bring better obesity medicines, to bring better vaccines, to bring things that people value. And thank you for allowing us to do that. I want to thank Secretary Kennedy. I want to thank Secretary Latnik. Your leadership helped us to pull that together. You are the mastermind of everything, and without the brilliant way that you designed the whole thing, we wouldn't be able to make it happen. But you were even more brilliant because you had someone in your team that he was the driving force behind everything. And I don't have words to thank you for your integrity. And it is what you have said. We created trust from day one. And that was the most important thing that allowed us to be able to pull very difficult negotiations. Of course, also I want to thank the US trade representative who is also heavily engaged, and he's probably the first trade representative that I have seen that cares about our industry and cares to do something about unfair situations out there. But more than anyone else, Mr. President, I want to thank you, for your leadership and, frankly, for your friendship. Thank you.
Albert, thank you very much. Great job. Great job.
Thank you, Mr. President. The growth of drug spending, that is, the increase in drug pricing, is the fastest and biggest increasing area of healthcare spending. So today's announcement has incredible implications for healthcare spending in the United States. And today marks the beginning of the end of the Great American Ripoff. And it also marks the beginning and the end of a great American tragedy, something I've seen as a physician at the bedside. Patients getting spun up into a financial rage, doing GoFundMe campaigns online, sending repeat reminders, asking people to donate, getting their churches to pass the offering plate from pew to pew, Sunday after Sunday, to try to get enough money to pay for a drug in the United States, a drug that's 5 or 10 times more expensive than the same drug in France or Germany or the UK. People get spun up and it's a tragedy. Having cancer is hard enough. Getting spun up into a financial rage in order to try to get the money to pay for treatment makes it so much harder. 37% of people who go through cancer care say in the end that the financial toxicity makes them want to avoid or delay care in the future. That is, they're done with it. They're done with the system. That's how toxic financial toxicity can be. And for what? For what? So the US can finance the R&D of the world? Well, that ends today, thanks to President Trump. So we want to see R&D. We want to see American pharmaceutical companies thrive. We want to see pharmaceutical companies that do business and manufacture in the United States thrive. At the FDA, we're doing our part. If you're going to equalize your price to that of other wealthy countries, we're not talking about Zimbabwe. We're talking about Germany, France, UK, Japan, other wealthy countries, the OECD countries. If you equalize your price, then we're going to put your future applications at the front of the line. A voucher to get a review in weeks has a market street value of about $500 million because every day is money when it comes to getting a drug approved. And so if you meet one of the president's national priorities stated very clearly, moving manufacturing to the United States, meeting a large unmet public health need, or equalizing your prices. We're the largest purchasers of drugs. We deserve the best prices. And so we're going to do our part. And if a generic company makes their drug in the United States, that application is going to move to the front of the line as well. And if you're going to build a plant in the United States, our FDA inspectors will walk through that plant during the construction phase, something never done before, so that it's ready on day one. So thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. They said it couldn't be done, and here we are. Thank you.
Chris, you may want to go up and just show one of the boards about how quickly the prices come down. And these are small examples. We're going to have it over 1,000% in some cases. You'll see that during the week. But we just picked out 4 at random, and you see the kind of numbers. Bobby and maybe Albert, good.
We picked 4 examples, but I want to be totally clear. These are not the only 4 examples. And as the President mentioned, this is not the only agreement. It is the first. It's a historic agreement. There are many to come, and we're excited to talk about them. And that means hundreds and hundreds of drugs. We are not exaggerating when we talk about reductions of up to 80%. We give you 4 examples here, one for dermatitis, a new price, adding a
We're talking about massive numbers, and the numbers are going to get even better with a little time. And I will say, Albert, I think that the drug companies are going to be the same. You're going to, the world, we're really competing against the world, so they have more people. So we'll come down a lot, and the world's going to go up a little bit. And the end result is you're going to, I think, do the same business pretty much. Maybe you'll figure a way to do more business, I think, knowing you. But I think the drug companies, we're going to come down a lot, the U.S. The U.S. will come down a lot. But the world, many more people, is going to go up a little bit.
And Speaker Mike Johnson just found a way to stop it. Arizona voters elected Adelita Grijalva to Congress last week in an uncontested special election. She would be that decisive 218th signature on a bipartisan petition demanding a political vote to unseal every non-classified Epstein record. However, Johnson is refusing to swear her in. Arizona's election officials have already transmitted the formal certificate of election to the House clerk, following the same protocol that other members do when results are uncontested. Speakers have discretion to recognize that certificate and administer the oath immediately. Johnson is choosing not to. Without her swearing in, the petition stays stuck at 217 signatures, just one name short of forcing a vote to unseal the Epstein files and expose the powerful figures that are tied to him. Johnson hasn't said why he's delaying and doesn't have to. By keeping quiet, he keeps Grijalva out and the petition stays stuck at 217. This is a game of chess to him and a strategic way to keep the Epstein files sealed in order to protect those tied to him.
All right, there. All righty, there you have it. Thanks for new subscribers. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Don't have much other than that on the Epstein files, but y'all keep asking about it. So I was like, let me look because I thought I had saw something recent. They're claiming to have some audio leaks. That's about it. Real quick today, October 1st, Wednesday in some places, deported nationals from U.S. will receive full legal protection. So the Iranian Justice Ministry said that there was 115 nationals that were deported from the United States, stressing that they falls under the U.S. domestic law. The returnees remain entitled to full protection as Iranian citizens. So now we're hearing from other countries that have been receiving their people right back from America. We don't want them, I guess, right? I guess that's what that's about. You don't want to be here legally, you got to get out. All right. Y'all ain't got to go home, but y'all got to get out of here. Anyone have anything else to say? If you do, I can open the floor for that. Otherwise, I'm kind of hot right now. I don't know why I keep getting hot today. It's not even hot. But yeah. So that's that. Like I said, the big thing that just broke is that they froze $18 billion of funding to New York, which is a blue state. I don't like to call something a color, but you know what it is. They feel like it's more Democrats in New York and all over the place. You don't know who's where. It's all about who's voting, and the way some people are going these days, it depends on which way the wind is blowing. That's what it seems to depend on. That's about it. You know, sometimes I ask y'all to speak on what how you feel. Y'all can't speak on it. Y'all just say, I don't like this. I like that. And it's like, that's not getting anybody anywhere. You have to be able to have the conversation, or you're never going to be able to put input in for whoever the leader is of America. So work on your communication skills, sharpen up your research. Don't just listen to one channel. Don't just listen to one outlet. A lot of people are lying. That's the thing now. So what we do is we're able to look stuff up for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for the hearts. It's up to us. We're looking at them, but it's about us. Every last one of us. Dang it. But all right, y'all. Thanks for coming through, and you guys did pretty good. Interesting chat. I'm going to come back and be reading it. You guys were really like hammering the left and hammering the right. It's kind of funny. Yeah, we say some funny stuff here too. But all right. Anyway, y'all take it easy. Don't let what's going on stress you out. Just stay aware. You can easily be stressed out and have your butt on the news next. Forget domestic violence. Forget all that. Talk about it or go somewhere and cool off for a minute. I'm telling you, you'll feel better about it. Eat a favorite snack sometimes. I do. Watch funny stuff on YouTube in between all of this. I'm telling you, take care of yourselves. Nobody's got you like you got you. All right? No matter what's going on. And I'm Kai Y7. And I appreciate y'all for coming through. They done froze my assets, my funds, apparently, because I'm in a Democratic state. No, it's crazy. Both sides lie, right? Okay, y'all keep saying that both sides lie. Who's not lying? Somebody has to be honest. I put Obama in the title too because one of these channels was saying that they're trying to get Obama possibly like prosecuted because, all right, the Secretary Levitt was just speaking earlier, and they feel he should be punished basically because they said that he was doing crooked things politically behind the scenes that no one was really knowing about. So that's what happened with what they discussed. Well, it was a little bit earlier. So we'll see. But I just keep hearing Obama's name, and I'm like, why are they bringing up Obama so much? But they going in now. They really going in on him about what was going on and what shouldn't have been happening, and stuff like that. So that's what Obama has been faced with, at least most recently. Let me see something. Yeah. I don't even see it now. She was going off on him.
Wants to see all those who perpetuated this fraud against our country, who betrayed our country and the Constitution, to be thoroughly investigated and held accountable.
What is the accountability that you would like to see if the current president is the one who brought the case to the Supreme Court and Chief Justice Roberts made clear in his opinion that a sitting president's responsibilities in office cannot lead to prosecution, immunity? So what is it the President Trump wants regarding President Obama, given that fact? And the special counsel at the time, Durham, when that Supreme Court matter was not in effect, could have charged anyone and did not. So on those 2 points, how do you respond?
Look, the president has made it clear that he wanted these documents to be declassified. He wanted the American people to see the truth, and now he wants those who perpetuated these lies and this scandal to be held accountable. As for what accountability looks like, as the director said, it's in the Department of Justice's hands, and we trust them to move this ball forward. He wants to see all those who perpetuated this fraud against our country, who betrayed our country and the Constitution, to be thoroughly investigated and held accountable.
She said, well, what do you want to see come of this? She don't know what she wants to see. She want to see whatever Trump want to see. She's total opposite of Pierre, the other one we had with Biden. She couldn't even speak right. She couldn't even get a sentence out. Regardless of how I feel about some of what's going on, I want clear communication. Ever since I was little, my dad was like, you're going to know clear communication. If you don't know nothing else, you're going to know your history, you know what's going on right now, and clearly communicate. Because that's one of the most important things in life. Bugs communicate. You know what I'm saying? Everything does. But it's like she's very forthcoming. She's a tough cookie. She's tough, but that's what Trump wants. He wants toughness, and he don't want no side railing. He wants what he wants and nothing in between. And we knew that. We knew that about Trump before he got in. He's here. He's doing what he said he was going to do. He's doing what he said he was going to do. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could say that about the Democrats. I wish. I used to think they was doing the dang on thing because you just believe what you want and I don't know. And then we stop really seeing results and then we're okay with it. There's nothing okay about it. So regardless of what, I want leadership that's going to do the damn thing and do what you said you're going to come in here and do. If not, we need to be on their ass. That's every last one of us. I appreciate y'all for coming out. I'm Kai NY7. I talk about things that do with the inner community. Some are universal, but most of that has to do with the Black inner community. I talk about things that have to do with astronomy. So I call it astros because some of it has to do with astrology. But I also talk about spirituality and sexuality, very underrated areas of life that control most of our lives. We have the 3-eye atlas coming into our solar system in just 2 days. Hope you check out a post. I'm going to do a poll there. we'll have information coming up about the way this spacecraft has been transforming. I should say, space matter has been transforming on us, and how interesting it is. We'll break a lot of things down, and we're just gonna have some good conversation. So if you're interested in that, I hope you would be, because it's right outside our neighborhood on planet Earth. So I have a lot of fun information coming up for that too over the next couple of days. So hope to see y'all back. I have something for everybody, and unless you're a nobody. No, I'm just playing, but I do, I do have a lot of content. So hope to see y'all back, and I hope you all have a good day, no matter your position on things. Have a good day, all right? And don't let anyone else ruin it, because they don't have that power. You have a good day. I'm Kai NY7. Thanks. Peace.
NY7. NY7.